Hey everybody! Welcome to Let's Look at Ape Out. I'm going to start this video by saying if you have a sensitivity to flashing lights, you know, shocking sounds, thrills and chills, but like seriously, mostly the flashing lights. If you classify yourself as photosensitive, prone to headaches, nausea, or perhaps even epileptic seizures, if you see that stuff, turn back now. Go watch Civ 6. Go watch something else, because this game has flashing lights in it. But everybody else, don't let that deter you. Ape Out is a new game published by Devolver Digital. I'm a little late getting to the party here, which is, you know, what else is new at this day and age. But it came out this week. It's $15. I received a review copy from Devolver Digital. Everybody say thank you to Devolver Digital. I'm also going to lower the volume ever so slightly because things are about to get heavy. What is Ape Out? Ape Out is it's an arcade score attack style game, but also it's just Hotline Miami, but you play as an escaped gorilla. Does that answer your question? It's an incredibly simplistic elevator pitch. You play as a gorilla that's escaped from, you know, a variety of different situations, a high-rise building, a scientific laboratory, and all you gotta do is get out. All you gotta do is escape. What's in your way? Armed guards. What do you do about armed guards? They got guns. You run them down. You push them into a wall and watch their spine explode. Or you grab them, use them as a human shield, and then throw them into a pillar and watch their spine explode. I played about an hour of it on stream today. I have read Steam reviews say it's about 2 hours long. Certainly not one of those games you get as a value play. I'm going to buy it for $15, play it for 100 years. Yes, we all know Factorio exists, okay? We all know RimWorld exists. There's a different kind of experience on display here. You buy in for the style and the zane and what it's selling. Anyway, I like it. Gameplay-wise, I like it so far. I'll show you. So I finished the first 2 discs. We're going to start on disc 2 here, though, just to give you a little understanding of what's going on. So it's not a complex game, but don't let the fact that there's only a couple of buttons on play here. You know, it's not a flight simulator. You don't have to manage your trim or your yaw and your pitch. All you got to do is, you know, use cover to not get killed and then alternate basically punching and grabbing enemies in order to survive. So, I'm the gorilla. He's the orange mass in the center left of your screen right now. I've used the left mouse button to push a security professional who was probably coerced into this job by a well-meaning but ultimately very guilt-ridden person in his family. Oh God. Very simple. If you're wondering what you're seeing right now. Every time you get hit, you leave a little bit more of a blood trail on the ground. Eventually, after you've been hit enough, you die, and you start over from the very beginning of the level. How long are the levels? Not very long. You know, I would say less than, you know, a minute and a half each, depending on the way that you approach them. And remember, your goal is not to kill everybody involved here. The game's called Ape Out, not Ape Destroy. So all I'm trying to do is get to the exit in what I would describe as the most efficient way possible. By the way, I'm using keyboard and mouse. Oh, I clicked off the screen. I'm sorry. I deserve to die there. I might want to change this to exclusive full screen access. I don't give a whole lot of games that kind of privilege, but in this case I might make an exception. So where's the variety? It seems like it's, you know, you're just doing the same thing over and over right now. Well, I mean, to some extent that it's a criticism that's hard to ignore here, I suppose. But basically, it's the same sort of use case or the same sort of elevator pitch as something like Hotline Miami. At the end of the day, shouldn't have stood there. Yes, you are just picking up, you know, weapons in the case of Hotline Miami, and you know, using those weapons against enemies and trying to hit them before they hit you. But that's doing it a little bit, in my opinion, of a disservice. You know, there's a certain almost like puzzle ability that takes place in the game as a result of trying to figure out how the heck am I gonna, you know, make it through this room with the parameters, you know, number of enemies, what kind of weapons do they have, and etc., that's going on right here. And the answer is, you know, there's multiple different ways. you can take it slow. There's even some sections where I would hesitate to call it stealth, but you can interact with the situation in a non-lethal context. I'm not saying it's like a Dishonored where you can beat the game without killing anybody. That seems a little bit ridiculous. And, you know, the game's not called Friendly Ape. I'm gonna stop using that joke. But either way, the they're falling off the edge. There are some times where you'll be like, you know, I don't have a lot of HP, I don't have a lot of resources right now. I don't really want to, you know, engage in a strategy that requires me to, you know, attack enemies. So instead, what you do is maybe try to be a little bit more non-lethal. Now, from an immersion standpoint, I'm just gonna hit you with something. It doesn't really make real-world sense that upon picking up an enemy, they would continue to fire their gun while being held by this gorilla. But that's just, again, it's like different enemy types in the game. The enemies are basically weapons in and of themselves, right? You know, most of the enemies, you pick them up, they got, you know, the ability to absorb one shot, and they shoot one shot themselves after you pick them up. It's up to you to determine, you know, what's the best case scenario here? Can I get to this guy before he shoots? Am I better off going for a grab or something like that? The machine gun guys are like getting your ult in Dota or something like that. Essentially, once you grab them, they're gonna get 6 or 7 kills themselves. There's also, you know, it's relatively minor, and you're seeing, you know, we're using the enemies as projectiles here, basically. The green helmeted guys, by the way, I think their thing is they try to say, they're trying to stay a set distance away from you, and they're faster than you, so you gotta kind of corner them or leave them alone, essentially. And that is a sniper, obviously. Anyway, you do run, but you have to run in the direction you're facing. And I know that sounds obvious, but a lot of games don't. They'll just, as soon as you hit sprint, you'll start running in whatever direction you're facing. That's not the way it works in this game. You face a direction, and then you start running in that. And it's a subtle change in terms of the control scheme. But it actually adds a little bit more fluidity and dare I say, complexity versus something that's just like, hey, press shift to run. You know, instead you have to decide, if I want to go fast, you know, my speed is tied to the direction that I'm looking. So I can't go fast and also, you know, still deal with enemies behind me. Oh, I really thought I could push him into the other one. You also get this cool, and, you know, half of the value in Ape Out for sure is the stylistic, you know, the kind of Buddy Rich style percussion you got going on in conjunction and combination. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? In conjunction and combination with the, you know, the visuals and the way the visuals kind of play a role in the aggro and line of sight that goes on in the game as well. It reminds me a little bit of a Blendo game, you know, like a 30 Flights of Loving in particular, but also Quadrilateral Cowboy. I always go to 30 Flights of Loving because I think 30 Flights of Loving is one of those games that is style over substance, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I mean that's one of those games where the principal draw is not, oh, there's a cool gameplay mechanic where X, you know, it's a multimedia experience where the tone kind of is the draw and the atmosphere is the draw. This is kind of similar to that, except a little bit more gameplay oriented, I suppose, you know? You can always rely on, it's kind of inside baseball, but Devolver Digital consistently publishes some of the most... Oh, I was a microsecond away from finishing the level. Some of the most interesting games that come out. They're always worth a look, even if not every single one of them is for me. Anyway, the other strength is, I really feel very easy recommending this if you also enjoyed Hotline Miami. It's essentially borderline the exact same gameplay loop. Very, very simple mechanics, and then, you know, trial and error. Did the way I chose to deal with this carnage work last time? If yes, try it again. If not, you know, we're gonna throw some things at the wall and see what sticks. Now, the levels are the same layout every single time, but I almost screwed that one up. Did screw that one up. The positions of the enemies and also the type of enemies, I believe, is not guaranteed. So I think you can run into different kinds of enemies in different situations. So from a game design standpoint, does this mean that you could find yourself in a situation where one run is easier than another? I mean, I suppose, but I haven't really... I mean, I haven't spent an exhaustive amount of time with the game, but I haven't really encountered a level so difficult where I was like, oh, you know, what I should definitely do is just continually restart until I get it, you know, the easiest seed possible. It seems kind of, you know, antithetical to the spirit of the game, if you know what I mean. So is this the last floor? We could take it a little bit more slowly. Plan things a little bit more sensibly. The thing with, you know, so you can hold body parts. I don't consider this to be a strong strategy. Yeah, for many reasons. If you hold the body part, you're substantially slower, and the only value you get out of it most of the time is the ability to stun an enemy for a couple of seconds. And by a couple of seconds, I mean like less than 1 second. So speed definitely appears to be the name of the game. It's also, I don't want to say it's like a vestige or a blast from the past or something like that, but it reminds me almost of a type of game that you don't see that much anymore. Or at least I feel like I don't see as much as I used to, which is essentially just a couple of interesting, you know, gameplay mechanics done really, really well and then released at a relatively cheap price point for a bite-sized experience, you know? And I really feel like, this is getting a little bit hoity-toity for the purposes of this video, but, you know, when you're covering indie games on the channel, I don't really think it's productive most of the time to examine them through a lens of, you know, would this be a better game if it cost $1.50 because of the fact that it's 2 hours long and I got tons of games in my library that, you know, I paid almost nothing for and got 500 hours of gameplay out of. You know, I think that it kind of does a disservice. All I can really do at the end of the day with stuff like this is tell you how I'm feeling about it, and then you can decide for yourself how the value proposition lines up given not only your finances, but also the way that you feel about what you watched over the course of the video. So these are guys who explode. They also throw bombs, and if you see those bombs, you could grab them and throw them back. Or throw them wherever you wanted, I guess. So in that regard, I've been having a really good time with Ape Out so far, and I find it very easy to recommend. And I really think, like, I don't know, at the end of the day, it's kind of it's a subject that's, you know, is really more the topic of what would end up being a longer sort of standalone video sort of thing. But, you know, if $15 isn't the right price point for a game like this, what is? You know, $1? Wait, when would people be happy and stop having the conversation about it not being worth its length? You know, I feel like I'm also sort of preaching to the converted, and it probably doesn't even need to be brought up, but, you know, when you're doing a 15, 30, 45-minute video off the cuff like this, sometimes it, you know, stuff just sort of pops up. Hold on. I've got a protective hip. Nobody move. By the way, if you throw them, and we saw that right there, if you throw them and they don't hit anything, then they won't die. As a result, they could come back to haunt you. I have, just on the, like, objective level, don't shoot. I have had some people in chat tell me that they got a little bit of motion sickness from watching the game, and I think that's also, I mean, I can relate to that. You know, I get motion sickness in a lot of games, and I haven't had it in Ape Out, but traditionally it doesn't hit what tend to be the triggers for me. Run! No, I was free. I should have gone behind the big door. Which are 3D, you know, variable frame rate, deliberate segments of the game where they try to make you nauseous because they forced you to drink a virtual beer. You get the idea. That's like my #1, please never do this in a video game ever again, complaints. Mission critical stuff that's like, go get drunk at Malone's bar. And then I'm like, okay, time for me to throw up in real life. But anyway, I mean, a lot of this is just, I guess it's my way of kind of lampshading the fact that, you know, one way or the other, no matter how good Ape Out is, you have to reconcile something for yourself, which is, even if it was the best game in the world, am I okay paying $15 for a 2-hour experience or an hour-and-a-half experience? I feel like a lot of, you know, videos that I've done like this in the past, I've thrown in like, yeah, well, you know, there's replay value. And I do think there's replay value here, but is that a realistic concern for most people? Like, you know, is the average person going to finish this and then play more? I guess the honest answer is that I don't know, but I would say for me, oh, we could have killed ourselves accidentally there. We're in trouble. You know, I would feel comfortable with it, you know, if I had purchased this for the show. But again, that's something you got to figure out on a personal level, I suppose. He missed. Oh, it's not gonna happen again. Yeah, we should have dealt with that guy way earlier. This is a problem. Please run faster. And to be honest with you, most of the games I end up buying on Steam, I probably don't end up playing for much more than 2 hours to begin with, regardless. So to get a complete experience for that price is more than I usually get. What I usually get is, you know, I play the first hour or two of a game and then go, I see what you're doing here, but I don't really care to see more. And I leave the whole thing sort of in media res. So, you know, there's been like I think a movement towards smaller games and acceptance of smaller games in the past, and I'm a huge proponent of that. The more games that don't overstay their welcome, I can't believe I didn't get hit. Not only don't overstay their welcome, but are enjoyable throughout the experience, and offer a complete experience in a reasonable time frame. That's the sort of thing that I'm interested in. All right, so we finished the first half of these levels. We're going to keep going, but suffice to say, I think I've said what needs to be said on Ape Out. Do you like Hotline Miami? You will probably like this as well. It scratches many of the same itches. It's not as long, but it also offers something stylistically that is not offered in Hotline Miami. Not that Hotline Miami is a non-stylish game, because obviously that's kind of a ridiculous take, but, you know, half of the fun here is aesthetic, I think. And the other half of the fun is mechanical. And you know me, I tend to be a more mechanics-driven individual, and this is definitely not a case, oh, I'll just run, as mentioned earlier, of style over substance. Like, there's some real strategy here. It's not Civ, it's not EU4, it's not Hearts of Iron, but that's not to say it's not strategy. It's just real-time, on-the-fly problem solving. It's not just running up to enemies and pressing the left mouse button. You know, you're going, okay, we got too many guys here, what do I do about it? Then we got the sniper around the corner, so we're gonna dodge. Thankfully, that guy hit a wall. Let's grab some legs, so we got something to work with in the future that we can throw at an enemy that's too far away for us to hit next time, like this guy. And we screwed that up, but... Whoa, yeah, that was not even close. I will say it's not that hard so far, even though I'm dying quite frequently. And I think this is a positive thing. It's not that the game is... Oh my lord. Yeah, that was terrible. It's not that the game is easy. It's just that, you know, the levels are short enough that dying is not that big of a deal. And it, of course, you know... I'm sure if you're on the dev team for this game, you're probably watching every video and every review and just going, hey, shut up about Hotline Miami. Like... You know, you think you're the only person on Earth that knows that our game is similar to Hotline Miami, but, you know, that's another thing that Hotline Miami did really well, which is, you know, failure sucks, and you might end up retrying the same sort of room or obstacle 20 times, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's not a 45-minute, you know, task to replay something. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't, oh my god, I dodged it, run. We made it down. Okay. Use your brain. We don't want to be there. Yep, Probably should have grabbed the exploding one. We were pretty close, though. So yeah, another good Hotline Miami-like. Once you botch it, just bail, dude. And another good game in the Devolver Digital collection. And an early candidate for a category, I don't have a good name for it, but every year I feel like there's just a few indie games that fit this bill of being like incredibly accessible, polished, and easy to recommend. And I think Ape Out is definitely in that category. It's the kind of game where, like, at the end of the year, people will be like, you know, number 17 on my list, Ape Out. You can play it through in an afternoon. It's a fun time, and I got lost in the Buddy Rich style aesthetics of what was happening. Run. Almost like a... It's not analogous in mechanics to a game like Jazz Punk, but part of the fun is the almost the jazz punky style of the basically the visual style that's happening throughout the game. Oh my god. Oh, we were so close, dude. We almost made it out. Once we beat this level, we could probably move on. But yeah, you know, I guess the thing I was trying to get across in this video... Go ahead, shoot him. He did shoot him. The thing I'm trying to get across in this video is I think that there's some games, like, you know, a 30-hour RPG or something like that. And when you're doing a video of those, it's kind of within your purview to be like, is this a game that is worth playing through to the end? And I don't think that Ape Out is in that category. I think, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining myself here. You know, I'm kind of tripping over my own words. But, you know, that's a 60, or if you live in, you know, another part of the world, maybe an $80 or more experience. That's more robust, and there's an expectation that it's a certain amount of length. This is much more along the lines of like, hey, it's, you know, the cost of lunch for two. Does it offer the same level of enjoyment? You know, I'm very much not a time for money sort of guy when it comes to games, and I've had a very good time with my experience so far. You might not, I mean, I didn't do the right thing there, but that was an example of some of the strategy involved in Ape Out. As quickly as it happened, you know, I saw a dude, and I said to myself, this dude has a shot that can be dodged, so I'm going to run past him. But then immediately after that, there was another dude who explodes. And he was right next to him, so I said, oh, you know what, I just want to run straight past this guy, too, because, you know, the fact that he explodes is very dangerous for me, and I'll be dead. Okay, so we gotta use our noggin here. We gotta be a little bit smarter. It also definitely scratches that, like, one more turn itch. I think I grabbed two at once there. I don't know if that's a bug, but I'll take what I can get. This actually might be one of the seemingly few times it might be advantageous for me to actually slow down instead of just sprinting through all the levels. But we know, like, realistically, we probably just want to go dead ahead. Oh, never mind. No! Oh, he was just slightly too far away for that first one. It scared me. We got a real blood trail, though. If we get shot twice more, we'll probably die. Wow. Well, I was right. I have to beat this level before I move on. If you're prone to that sort of compulsion, it's another game you should look into. Or maybe for your own well-being, you shouldn't. I don't know. I'm very much, you know, oh, okay, I'll move on in one more game. Okay, one more real game, though. You know, that wasn't a real attempt. We didn't even, you know, beat the level. It's only a real attempt if you actually beat the level. Yo, I screwed that up something fierce. I screwed it up again, and I'm now in a... Oh! I blew myself up. This is a bummer, dude. It all... Okay, this is a cursed seed. Oh my god, I made it. It all went wrong when I missed the shot. Yeah. on the explosion, dude. You gotta, you know, sometimes you're basically using the enemies as projectiles. So, you know, you would grab an individual. No, because if that guy gets shot, he explodes. You grab an individual and send them at another individual. Okay, we're making it through the first floor, I think, unscathed. See an exploding dude? We can't afford to get shot while holding an exploding dude, so it's probably not wise under most circumstances to grab them. Wow. 360 no-scope. We're actually regressing. But it's like Rock Band, you know? Sometimes you gotta regress before you get better. Many people watching the video will note that that is not really the typical Rock Band experience, but 99% of my brain is used for gorilla-related physics right now. We got super lucky there. We threw the man who explodes, oh my god, into the bomb that explodes. Concrete jungle, wet dreams tomato, dude. Let's do it. I was like, parry the bullet. We can probably afford to get shot once per floor. Come get a taste. Oh! Alright, 3 more tries. If I don't get it within 3 more tries, it's cursed. And that's the thing, dude, is that this is... Don't shoot me, don't shoot me. Ah, this is the real Ape Out experience. The real Ape Out experience is not a 30-year-old man saying, like, you know, the spectrum from which we should consider the dollar per hour metric. The real Ape Out experience is putting the controller in your hands. I allowed him to shoot the exploding man by moving behind the exploding man as cover, which, really, like, what can I say? Don't. Oh, we got through it. Okay, here we go. A flawless first floor. I thought I could move through there. Are we safe? We're safe enough. No. I don't want to interact with you. We got shot twice. We gotta move. I've screwed it up something fierce. Get out of here, dude. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more try. I hate to say it, I've beaten this level. I beat it on stream, obviously. Not like that, you weirdo. Okay, but one more real one, though. That was just awful. Hey, see that? I mean, that's obviously a fake one. Anyway, Ape Out. I'm not saying game of the year. I'm not saying top 10 game of the year. I'm just saying it's one of those games. It's very easy to recommend if you can get over. And I don't think it's a difficult obstacle, honestly. But if you can get over the $15 for, you know, 90 to 120 minute experience, assuming that you're not going to play it through over and over and over. Which, you might be that kind of person, but I'm not. So I find it disingenuous to suggest. Yo, do you see these serpentines? God, he's good. But yeah, very easy game to recommend, without a doubt. Don't you dare, don't you dare. Okay, this is probably our final floor. All we gotta do is survive this one. I'm mad because I was wavering back and forth between the obstacles and couldn't figure a way out, but we were like 7/8 of the way through. Anyway, this is Ape Out. I think I got my points across over the course of this. As someone who has beaten Hotline Miami and played quite a lot of Hotline Miami 2 when it released, but I don't think I ever beat it. Maybe I did. It's a worthy, I don't want to say spiritual successor, but it's a worthy entry into the Hotline Miami-like genre. Good game, appropriate price, really stylish. I like it. You can check it out on Steam, as located in the video description below. Of course, again, let me mention I did receive a review copy from Devolver Digital to produce the video that you see in front of you today. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. And, of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!